Good morning, everyone. We are officially in summer. So today we're going to be chatting about step 8 and just whatever comes up as far as our our feelings. I know the weekend a lot of times can be kind of like a pressure cooker, and we come out brand new like a baby bird that's made it through the storm Monday morning. So if you have anything that you'd like to share, if you can identify your needs. So if you need us to just listen, or if you'd like feedback, let us know. So I'd love to hear how you guys are doing.
I will go. I got to attend a family fun day with my church yesterday. And I call myself wanting to I call myself wanting to leave early because it was in New York, about 3.5 hours away. So I vended, and I packed everything up at 5, although I really wanted to stay, but I was trying to, but I locked my keys. I thought I locked my keys in the car. So AAA said they would be there at 7. They didn't come at 7, and then they were like, I couldn't find you. Then they said they'll be there at 10.
Oh no.
And but the beautiful thing, when people realized that I didn't have my keys, because AAA came, they came at 9, and the keys still weren't there. Everybody stopped everything because they were breaking everything down. So there probably were about 25 people left. Everyone stopped everything. Flashlights, looking on the ground, all the women, like 7 women, because I had all this vending, they each took a bag, and my keys ended up being in one of the bags. And I felt like such a fool, like, because I stopped everybody, because the people that were sponsoring the event, they were like, we won't leave you out here. But they didn't just stay, everybody stayed. And then 4 people were like, this has happened to me too. And then they were like, maybe God was saving you from an accident. They were like, everything happens for a reason. Maybe God wanted you to be around longer than 5 o'clock. And they said a prayer. They were thanking God for the opportunity to help a sister in need. And so, I would love feedback, but that display of love from, because I always talk about how my blood family is like, whatever, but people that I don't even do anything for will, like lay down your life for your brother type thing. So that's like a testimony. That's how God is, where like the steps that we talk about, like admitting your shortcomings and your life is unmanageable. But look at God, and they didn't even make me feel bad or stupid. So that is, I'm just still, and I got home at like 3 something in the morning. And one of the things I was most looking forward to was this call today. I thought I had a conflict, but I said, I'm gonna have that on over there. But I need this time, because this is the thing that's helping my mind when all these challenging circumstances keep coming. This is the thing right here that has been so supportive. So I just wanted to thank you for this time. It's so precious to me. And that's what I wanted to share today.
Oh, I love it. I love that you came out with the gratitude of it, instead of feeling like you said, you could have made yourself feel bad for inconveniencing people, but you allowed yourself to receive help and to recognize the love and the gift that they gave you by losing your keys. You were given a renewed hope of people.
Mm-hmm.
That's precious. I love it.
Thank you. Thanks for allowing us a space for me to share that.
Love it.
Can
Thank
I
you.
say something? That's so sweet. I just wanted to say that it just shows you like what kind of good leaders that church had, or that, you know what I mean, that they were willing to serve, and they were so kind and patient with you. And like you said, everybody's so wrapped up in their own lives, and then, you know, that you could have easily gone the other way, or it made you feel really bad, or just like, oh, the
Mm,
tow truck will be there or whatever. So what a beautiful example, right? That's so nice. Good. Thank you for
thank
sharing.
you. Thanks so much for sharing.
You know, so often we're given opportunities to help other people, and those people got to go home and feel good about themselves too. So if
Hmm.
we don't accept help from people, then we rob other people of the joy of serving,
Hmm.
you know? So I'm it's a win-win.
Absolutely.
I love it. So over my weekend, I got to go and do a booth up in Big Bear Lake, and I was bringing my kids with me, and um I'm not usually the one that's like toting my kids with me and like, oh, like no big deal, like we're gonna have a great time. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, like how am I gonna keep track of them? And like they're gonna be murdered or run over. Like I go into a hyper like scary thing. And same thing, kind of like people showed up in my life. Two of my good friends that live in my neighborhood were like, oh, we're gonna drive up there, and we're gonna be there and support you. They knew I was going by myself with the kids, and it was really hard for me to accept that help, that they were like, we're gonna sit, you know, and be with the kids so you can talk with people about oils and water release therapy and, you know, emotional support for codependency and addiction. And afterwards I was just, they're like, Kim, we're here to support you, we're part of, you know, it's just, you know, there is that still part of myself that feels unworthy of receiving that help. So I aspire to get to the place that you're at, Shannon, you know. Oh, Jess, you got your hand up.
Hi.
Hi.
I wanted to share, and I like feedback. So that's one of my issues with the 12-step meetings is, you know, you can't get that kind of stuff. So I I'm I relapsed, and so I just finished like 9 days or something, and so this time around I'm working on doing the 90 and 90 because I've never done that, and so I'm hoping that keeps me from relapsing. But this weekend I didn't get time to do meetings Saturday or Sunday, but the perfectionist that I am, I had already like stacked up a couple of extra meetings. So if I missed any, I would still be like in my 90 and 90. And I took my screensaver off of my computer, right, or my Zoom right now, because for the same reason, I guess, for my perfectionism that I'm learning I need to let go of. So I don't like people seeing like a mess in the background. And when I'm interviewing people for employment, like if they have a mess in their background, like I won't, like I've already in my mind, you know, they're not a good candidate. And so, so I turned off my screen. I turned off my screensaver so that I'm like real and dealing with that. But anyway, that wasn't the feedback I wanted. So this weekend was the first time since we started looking for a place that I haven't been high, and because pot is my drug of choice. So I wanted to clarify high on what. Not that it probably matters anyway, because I shouldn't be caring what you guys think of what my hang up is anyway, but working through all that. So it was hard. It's hard house hunting right now. And we have a lot of requirements for what we're searching for. And I'm a real estate agent. So we're going and looking at our own houses. So anyway, we've looked at over 100 houses and multiplexes in the last 6 weeks. And this week was the first week that, I wasn't numb, and I was like, it was so frustrating and so exhausting, and I just wanted to give up and on this whole search, but we don't have a place to live. We rented out our house in Vegas, and we've been living in our daughter's apartment for 2 months, and my daughter and I got into a fight on Saturday. My husband and I got into a fight on Saturday. Like, it's just gotten to a point where, there's too many of us too close to each other, and adult children are so different than children. I can't tell my kids what to do. I mean, we came out here to help our daughter set up her vacation rental because that's what we do, but she doesn't really want our advice. Anyway, so I'm just wondering, like, I don't even know what I'm wondering. Maybe, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like I white knuckled it this weekend, and I don't want to white knuckle it. And so I don't know if you guys have any, advice when you're too busy to go to meetings or whatever, how to just keep on keeping on.
Well, I mean, I know exactly how you're feeling. It's where this is the cycle that I know where the stress builds. You're holding it together, and at some point you're like, screw it. And then you're like, I'm just gonna do my drug of choice because that's the only way I can get out of my head. So for us to build our toolbox so that we can connect with our higher power, lay down, say, look, you know what? All these things, I can't deal with them. It's kind of like if you have a backpack, or even it feels like the thing in Africa, like where they carry the thing and they're like going to go 5 miles back to their village or whatever. You got to take that thing and you got to put it down and say, I can't do this right now, and I need your help. So you lay that at the feet of your higher power. These are things that are out of my control. I need you to take care of them and trust that the right things are going to pop up, right? So there's a really great yoga move that I want to show you guys. That's exactly that. And Lisa showed it to me. She's here. So I'm going to try and teach it because I know I'm like, it's so easy to follow yoga, but can you teach it? So I'll do my best in the adaptation, Lisa. So I'm going to put myself on spotlight. Part of me is like, Lisa, do it for me, but no, I'll do it. Okay. So she did it kind of in a sitting position, but I'm going to show you my interpretation. So if we start standing up, if you guys want to do it with me. Let me put my hair back. So let's start with an inhale. So we're just going to come up and close your eyes. And just feel that warmth and that love coming down from the heavens. Inhale and exhale, forward fold. And just keep your knees soft. You can wrap your elbows if you want to feel kind of a nice stretch in your cervical spine. And just sway. So let's inhale, roll your spine back up. And reach up for your higher power support. And then roll down. Strong exhale in the throat. So here is where all of the things that have been weighing heavy on us and our emotions that don't serve us, let's just leave it. Leave it here on the ground. For me, perfectionism and fear. And then like a sieve, bring up in your hands the best parts of yourself. And let's offer it back up to our higher power with a glad heart. with gratitude. That's a little something. I would pair that with Copaiba and Aroma Touch. So Copaiba is for connecting with divine love and your higher power. It's also for reducing stress in your brain. So doing these movements and mindfulness and breathing and essential oils, that's going to give you the reprieve that you're looking for. Because it's like when our stress gets to the top, you know, of like if we're filling up a cup and we're like, it's got to go somewhere, this energy, you know, like is it the first or second law of thermodynamics of energy is not created or destroyed, it's moved. So when we breathe and we move, then we're not containing that buildup inside our body. We're releasing it out, right? So I'm going to take a drop of Copaiba here because that feels really good. Does that help, Jess?
Yeah. What? And so you just rub it on your hands and inhale it.
Yeah. So Copaiba would be like safe CBD. So it has nothing to do with hemp, but it does the exact same thing in your spinal cord. It's got endocannabinoids that activate your nervous system to relax, to go into rest and digest. It comes from this giant tree down in Brazil, and they put a maple syrup tap and they get the goodness out. So, you know, specifically for those of us in recovery and we can't go anywhere near our drugs of choice, and we want to go natural, then we can use Copaiba or Copaiba for stress relief, pain relief, helping to build the resilience in our brain so that we can, instead of being stuck in our fishbowl where we're like, I can't go places with people, I can't do these things, you know, like eventually we'll be able to jump back and go in the ocean with normal people.
I don't think I've met normal people before, or at least not on a personal level. Like, you know how they say you're drawn to people who are in the same, you know, addictive mindset. So I don't, and the Copaiba's in the BOGO box, right?
I think, yeah, it is.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so you can use that. And then the Aroma Touch, that's for releasing, like, oh, gotta let it go, you know? Because lately I've been working a lot. And I tend to go back and review my work because of my perfectionism. Like, oh, like, did I do it right? You know? And then I go to bed thinking about it. I'm like, did I do it right? And I'm like, no, let it go. Give it. So I rub Aroma Touch in my hair and I put it in my diffuser.
And for the patchouli, how do you recommend like utilizing that for anger
Put
and
that on your lower back.
lower back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because of the base chakra, the red one, you want to put it, you could put it here or you can put it here. I put it on my lower back and that really helps like get the anger out of your head and be able to process it back through your body. Or you can put it in a diffuser. Then you can gas the whole house. You're like, why do I feel so much better?
Well, I ordered the little travel diffuser, so.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, Lisa's got her
Oh,
hand.
thanks.
You're welcome. Let's see.
I wanted to add, when you smell the copaiba, if you can, take your hands and put them on your back so that you know you got your back, you know, or if that doesn't work for you, you can take an elbow under and pat yourself on the back. You're doing good. You're doing okay. And then switch. I'm doing okay. I know what I'm up to.
Ooh, Lisa, while I have you on camera, can you do that one for activating the?
So let me I'm gonna turn this down. Oh, I gotta turn it.
Spotlight you for everyone. Spotlight. Hold on one second. How do I make it so that you're pinned for everyone? Replace spotlight. Okay, there you go.
So you interlace your fingers and you put tension. So this is relaxed. This is tension, right? And then you start breathing, and ideally breathe in through the nose and exhale through the nose, but sometimes it's better to just inhale through the nose and just, right? And you're holding that tension. And then you start to let the arms rise with that tension, and you let your eyeballs follow your hands. And you keep that breath going. And you keep that breath going, and you let those arms rise, and you let your eyeballs keep following the hands. You don't have to go to straight elbow, but if you can, you go all the way up, and then you open your throat and you hold that tension. And you keep that breath going, keep your eyes open, keep looking up. If the throat wants to open a lot, let it open a lot. Keep breathing. And then you surrender that tension, and you could get a very lightheaded feel, or your hands will tingle, or your face will tingle, or maybe your shoulders and your heart will tingle, and you let that melt back down by your sides. You're accessing the vagus nerve that coats the spine and coats your brain, right? That whole nerve that coats across all the nervous systems, right? And so you're tapping into that, and you're actually stretching that nerve. And if you have surgeries or anything like that that have been done on the spine, just be sensitive with yourself when you do that one. And let me know if anybody has feedback on that.
I really love that one. It gives me this like I just got out of like a warm bath and somebody loves me.
It always makes me high.
A little bit. Make your own body chemicals, see?
Exactly.
Got our
And
own
if
thing going.
I'll make a little video and send it to Kim. I'll make a YouTube of it, and we can doing it 3 times with the stretch that Kim did. Those are good things to put together.
Thanks. So with step 8, last week we talked about step 7. So that's where we're giving over to God our shortcomings. We're saying, remove my shortcomings. And you're not supposed to have an attachment to results. It's just a giving over, just hand over the basket. So these are the things I want to work on, and I know that you'll help me with them, and trust that fact. So step 8 is made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. So that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to trudge up the past and we're going to call up every single person, because there's something called a working amends. And working amends means that you have knowledge of a wrong, and that by changing your behavior and acknowledging it, that it was wrong, then it's like a ripple in the pond. Like you're sending out I'm going to make a change, and that isn't me anymore. And so that will be felt by the world consciousness. That's not just like, oh, for sure, I have to call up my ex-boyfriend from 30 years ago and say, sorry, I stole your lighter. You know what I mean? So there's working amends, and that doesn't mean that we get out of everything. And then there's the ones where you actually do have to make that call. So I have several examples that are quite embarrassing. So I used to travel a lot to teach essential oil classes, and I would go all over the US. And one of my biggest triggers was airports. So because the Bloody Marys flow like the river, the River Nile at the airport. So, getting on the plane, waiting for the plane. So I would, several times I would end up where I was supposed to be, like completely hammered. And I put people in situations where they had to take care of me. It's very unfair. And I justified my behavior by being extra good, extra kind, extra giving. And in my mind, the alcoholic mind, by buying dinners and, buying gifts, that made up for the fact of my bad behavior. And in my head, I could justify my bad behavior so that I didn't have to actually change. I could just keep buying people things. So I don't know if that might resonate with anyone, but I did. Let me pull up my email so I can show you guys so we can look at step 8, share screen. I guess I'll click Safari, share email. Hopefully it came to my email what I sent to myself this morning. No, it didn't work. I had a feeling that was going to happen. Okay, so I'll stop share and I will just read it to you guys. If you have the green book, it's on page 107. And I know Jeannie's got the book, this one here, the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions workbook for Codependent Anonymous. And this goes across the board for any of the A's, the NA, AA, CODA, ACA, just because all of our trauma and our emotional patterns are the cause and root of our continued addiction for fear and escapaholism. So basically, we're all escapaholics. We're trying to stay in the past and we're trying to stay in the future, and being able to stay in the present and breathe and use our holistic tools. That's where it's at. It's like, if this is a little trick that I do, if I catch myself having 2 different trains of thought and then I'm around other people and I can't really be present with them because I'm stuck thinking about something else, something I need to get done later, something I'm upset about from the past, then I close my eyes and I pretend like I just woke up. I go, wake up, be right here. And I tell myself, be right here. And I'm like, okay, pay attention. What, if I breathe in, can I feel the air coming into my nose? When I exhale, feel the air coming out of my nose. Ways to come back to the present. So in step 8, the following may be ways we have harmed others or ourselves. Holding resentments, acting out. That might be like a screaming match. Fearing intimacy, manipulating others. I have lots of lists of manipulating others. Needing to be right, cheating, lying, and stealing, obsessing or worrying, blaming and judging others, emotionally abusing ourselves or others. So you'll also want to have a list for yourself of things that you've wronged yourself. That's like the main list you should start with. Physically abusing ourselves or others, neglecting our responsibilities, creating financial stress, abandoning ourselves, separating from our spiritual selves. The list we make in step 8 acknowledges our harmful behavior in a new way, and we become accountable to ourselves and our higher power for what we have done. We begin to understand how important it is to see our harmful behavior. We no longer have to hold on to the secret of our past or live in denial of our past. We understand we have harmed because we were harmed. With this kind of honesty, change can begin. We can start to restore our relationships with others and ourselves in a healthy and loving way. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about that. It's it's a huge shift for me to understand that, because even now I have to work at this. If I have a feeling, I immediately am ashamed of the feeling I had just for even feeling it all. So that's pure self-abandonment right there. So I know a lot of people don't even know that they're doing that. And that's why they just are in so much emotional pain all the time, because they're just continually abandoning themselves. So I'm open for feedback.
From what you read, like what I gleaned from that is my guilt of you know, like you said, we harm because we've been harmed. So then I'm like, it's a continual pattern. So, you know, my husband was saying my verbal abuse is so, you know, it's hard, on him. And I mean, I don't, when we were fighting, that's when he said it. And I was like, well, I was trying not to talk to you you know, I was like, when I'm upset, like, don't talk to me, but he pushes and pushes. And so I moved to my trigger of verbal abuse, which my father was, you know, verbally abusive. And apparently my grandmother was, I have the same temper as my grandmother who I've never met. And, you know, and my addictions come from my father's lineage. So, you know, it makes me sad that I didn't stop the patterns before raising my kids. Now they're grown and I feel bad.
Well, I mean, working on you, that's a working amends, and your kids will see the shift. So that way it'll be their turn to do the healing. You know, it's like, I really wish I hadn't done a lot of things, even with my young kids and my older kids. One of them is out of the house. He watched me be this way, you know, for the last 15 years. And I can't change what happened, but I can change today. So going through marriage counseling with my husband, we figured out that my triggers trigger his triggers. It's like, how sad is that? My PTSD triggers, so it's like a guitar with strings, gets strummed, and then they set off his. So for me, I really need to feel heard and to have communication. And for him, his mom would draw on these really long stories. And so he was just always waiting for like the end of the story or the point. So for me, when I'm trying to explain something and to talk for too long, that makes him like black out. And now he's back with his mother telling this really long, boring story. Like there's situations like that. So it's like becoming aware of like, if you're feeling like I need to like let go of some anger because it's building up, you know, like a pimple that's going to pop. That's where we go, and we have to use our tools. Like with anger, remember Lisa Ann, you were talking about that Karen McClellan, and what do our emotions mean? It's the language of emotions. That's a really good book for you guys to look at. And she has a free chart that you can download. Oh, I'll pull it up for you guys. That's what I'll do. Share my screen. Because anger has a meaning. It means that we need to reassess our boundaries. So if we can start to learn the language of what it is that we're feeling, what that means for our life, and what's the next action step. So if we're upset, that means that our boundaries have been crossed and people are not, you know, seeing what your needs are. Your needs are not being met. So let me share my screen. I do have that pulled up.
That's interesting because I've realized with my daughter setting so many boundaries on me, I've never been good at setting boundaries on anyone. So maybe that's why I'm better at getting angry and not setting boundaries.
Yeah, I mean, it's about communication, about knowing what your boundaries are. Where do I have that pulled up? I was gonna print it. Oh, you know what? I kept it in my email, so let me search it real quick. It's emotion chart. There it is. I don't know if I'm gonna have to stop. Can you guys see it? It's like a rainbow chart.
No, we just
No.
see a book with like oils on it. The
Oh,
motion.
okay. Let me share my screen again. I can give you guys the link to this to print. Do you see it?
Yeah. Now we see
Yes, we see it.
Okay. So this will help you kind of understand a little bit, like what, if you want to track how you're feeling. So with anger, you know, this is just some definitions of like what anger is. I know a lot of people with the escapeaholic syndrome. escapaholic means that you are never really inside your body and you're always looking for a way to escape and numb out. How can I not be in the present because my emotional pain is so deep that I just can't even stay here for a few seconds? So coming back into our body and regaining the ability to feel, a lot of people do not know what they're feeling. And Lisa Anna, after you and I spoke about your friend, I think that's kind of what's going on with not knowing what feels like they're in a dangerous situation, like relapse. So this is a nice way to kind of track. And then here are the gifts and skills of emotion. So with anger, it's setting boundaries. Anger tells me what I value and when I or others have been wronged. It helps me protect and restore what's important. So it's just finding your boundaries. You might, what is it that I need from other people and what is it that I need for them to know? So isn't this interesting?
That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Can
love
you
it.
just copy and
Yeah.
paste like the website to put in the chat?
Oh,
Yeah.
let me do that real quick. I'll go here, copy. One of these days I will be really on it with the computer. Okay, so if I stop share, then I'll put it in the chat. How do I do that? Where's the chat go? Oh, there it is. Okay, got it. Does anyone have something in their head they want to say? So let me share my screen again and look at that chart because it's real interesting.
I was going to tell you, Kim, I was trying to tell. This is something happened to me yesterday where some emotions came up that I don't know, sad and mad and jealous and all these things popped up for something. And anyway, I went to Byron Katie has the Work app. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did it on there and I realized that I mean it just helps you understand too, because it asks you enough questions to help you pinpoint what you're feeling. And I think I'm one of those persons who numbs out my emotions, and I didn't know that I was doing it all my life. But I numb it out with just smiling and trying to be happy and all that kind of stuff, and trying to live in sunshine and lollipops and rainbows. But life isn't like that all the time, and so that's not a good thing either. But it was my coping mechanism from my childhood. So anyway, but thank you for this chart. But I just wanted to say the Byron Katie, the Work app, it really helped me go through it because it's always with me.
Yeah, it's nice that they have it on the phone. So if you go to your app store, type in Byron Katie, BYON. Or you can go to her website and you can, if you want to write, you can print out her free worksheets, and it's called the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. And it helps you figure out what is it, in what situation are you angry? What would you have him or her change in the situation? And she wants you to be as petty as you can. Like say the thing in your head that you would never say out loud because you're like, oh, that sounds terrible. And you're like, say it. Do it. Say the worst possible version. And then at the end, it helps you to flip that thought upside down. So like with my husband makes me so angry. And at the end of it, you have to say, I make my husband so angry. And then you re-answer the questions again. And it just kind of like, it takes this like really compressed asteroid and then it makes it go like stardust. It doesn't exist.
I do have to say, Kim, that because you sent me that book, reading that book, Loving What Is, completely changed my life.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it really helped that I could listen to her because I listened to it, but then I had to buy the physical book too. And listening to her go through different people's things, it really helped me. I also read the book at the same time. I was also reading Elizabeth Elliot's Suffering is Never for Nothing. And that is a really awesome book too. I mean, what happened with her when her husband was murdered. Anyway, crazy story. But he was murdered by tribes of Indians down in Ecuador. Anyway, but
Wow.
anyway, her story is so compelling. It's in a movie on YouTube called The End of the Spear. And it was so amazing what she did. Anyway, so those two books together really, really helped me a lot. If anybody doesn't like, it didn't feel like work because I could just listen to the book or whatever. And I didn't really have to work through stuff at the beginning. But now I'm in a place where I'm working through things more and going through. But if you don't feel like writing and doing a bunch of stuff, just even listening to her helps you identify yourself.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
like that a lot. So I wanted to do something in these Monday because I have a block against journaling from years and years ago, and I've recently broken the block. So I went on Amazon, it's super fun. I was avoiding my feelings and I bought something. And you can get for like $6 a bunch of these little travel notebooks. So I gave one to my kids because I want to foster, being able to channel your energy into writing. So I've got, this one says to be happy, choose joy. So the one that I chose for myself, there's believe in yourself. It's the one that I have right here. Where'd it go? I already lost my notebook. Well, anyway, I picked, oh, here it is. Big things start small. That one felt like the least pressure. The one that said be happy, I'm like, I don't know. That's too much pressure.
Right. Kim, I love that. I have to say I've written in about 50 journals and I like the little ones too. But I was just writing in this and I have to tell you, it's called a 5-year journal. And you only write this much every day. Like you only write a teeny little bit. And then the next page you go on. And then you go all the way around. And the next year you come back around and you write a little bit more on that page.
Oh, there you go.
And it's so easy because it takes you literally like 1 minute to write down what you for the day. And it's so neat because you can look back and you get to see, oh my gosh, that's what I was doing last year on this day and the year before and the year before. Anyway, this is on my 9th year of doing it. I love these. I still write electronically huge novels practically in my journals, but this makes it easy for me to just track little things and to see what I'm actually doing. Anyway, it's an easy way to write. Some people do 5 and 10 year journals that are like this big. I needed a page this big, so I only had to write. So I have really fine pen and I just write a little bit and it's like 2 sentences, but I can see what I was doing that day and it makes me feel productive too. And I like doing journals. So there's even an easier way too, but having a little one, like you said, like having a little one, that I like that.
Yeah, there's something about it being cheap, like that if I lost it, I wouldn't feel sad.
Right.
Like I like the feeling of like, oh, it's no big deal if I just paid $1 for a little thingy. But I had last week, my yoga 12-step teacher, she was teaching on discipline and helping to identify where a lot of people have blocks with discipline. And for me, my whole life, I abhor discipline. I said, no, I rebel. I won't have discipline. I won't have commitment. But it's interesting. All of the people that I like best in my life have structure and discipline. I married a very type A person who writes lists and follows lists. And like you, Jeannie, very structured person. You love organization. You love it. And
But you
have a
know what's
routine.
interesting? I have to say this back to you, Kim. The thing that is interesting though is you're super successful still in, you have to say, in your business. You're really successful in a lot of the things that you do, which means you don't have to have all that stuff to still
Yeah.
be successful.
I mean, I'm successful because I'm charismatic and I'm not afraid to put ideas into motion. But what discipline does for you is it gives you freedom. That if you follow through with the promises you make to yourself, then you feel fulfilled and it gives you freedom to let go. So what I have not been able to do is allow myself to let go because I was constantly in procrastination. And procrastination doesn't let you relax because you always feel ashamed that you didn't get the things done that you wanted to get done. So having this discipline, and I wonder if I surround myself with people with discipline because I'm a codependent and I'm the baby and I want people to do everything for me. And won't you do it for me, Jeannie, because you're so disciplined?
You know, I threw discipline out the window 2 years ago.
It's just
I
different
learned
for
how to
everybody.
relax. I mean, I'm still disciplined, but not in a type A way. I just open up to abundance. Wait,
You
what did you say?
schedule your relaxation time?
No,
I do. I'm really
No.
typing it, so I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be spontaneous this time on my vacation.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you have to, you know, because people who are type A, it gets to feeling overwhelmed. And so learning how to relax and just let things go. And guess what? Even though I haven't worked my business very much for 2 years, I'm still making really good money and still supporting my family. And so I just open myself to abundance and stuff flows to me. And I don't have to make all my long lists anymore. I still make lists, but I'm not crazy about it the way I used to. I don't have to work 20 hours a week. I can work 5 and I get the same results.
Yeah.
I like
mean,
it better.
It's being able to work smarter, not harder, and then let it go.
Yeah.
Because if, so it's very different where discipline lands for people, where you've had an overabundance of self responsibility, ingrained. Or so maybe the type A people need people like me. They're like, can I be free like her, not wear a bra?
They do. They need
do.
people like you.
Listen, I found a t-shirt that has a bra in it. And so it doesn't do the shoulder thing. I'm so happy. It's on Amazon. Just type in shirt with a built-in bra. It's so, look at, I'm not wearing a bra, but it looks like I am.
That is so cool.
For people with neck and shoulder problems, I know it won't work if you're got more than a C, but anyway, at least the
It's
nipple
funny. It's funny that we're drawn to the opposite, but then we're driven crazy by the opposite as well in other people,
It's true. It's where do we get our needs met? How do we find our sense of self? But I'm so grateful that we got to come together and feel welcomed and feel loved and accepted. And we get to learn tools that we can take into our real lives. And even if we are going to stay in our fishbowl a little longer because it makes us safe, that's good too. It's okay to have your fishbowl in your safe zone. And then, like it's taken me, I'm going into almost my 2nd year of recovery. I'm just now taking those tools I'm learning out into the real world where I can be safe back in the ocean. So it's okay to have your safety fishbowl for a bit.
When you were selling oils before, but you weren't in recovery, was your focus on recovery? Or did you just recently?
No, I was in denial.
Oh. So this is a new direction for you.
Yeah, so I took my healing process during COVID and it was the perfect pause. I mean, Jeannie used to live in my town and I would have, I don't know if you came to my house, I would have like 40 people in my home teaching essential oils. And it was focused more on the physical needs versus the emotional needs, like diabetes and, pain or, like cholesterol or stuff like that, where I'm looking it up in the book. But when everybody left, I was left with such a high anxiety and overwhelm because I had to put on the face to be the person. They saw me, they're like, Kim's doing so good. She's so amazing. And then I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to lose it. And they didn't know. Nobody knew because it was all secret. It's like
Can
Martha
I ask
Stewart.
you a question, Kim?
Yeah.
I find that because I feel that way, I like hide. I don't want to be in front of the room. But the weird thing to me is that whatever peace or glow, whatever people see, they're like, can you teach us? And I'm always trying to get myself together. I never feel that I'm ready. Like, I'm like, how can I teach when I'm still going through all this? So I'm just curious with the opposite side of that, when that's the very thing that, I don't know, something you said, when you said that, I'm like, yes, that's exactly how I feel. That's why I don't teach. But it's almost like that's the authentic thing that touches people when you do still teach and share real where you really are. I found that was so funny because I'm thinking people are gonna be like, she's crazy, but they don't. They're like, wow, I can relate. So that's really weird for me because I think I need to get myself together before I can teach. But that's the very thing that has people like, you're amazing, and I'm like, I share my transparency. So I guess I'm still just trying to learn as I'm new to recovery and new to. It's amazing to me that people get so much out of it, although I feel I'm just beginning.
It's just like when, you shine a light, if I ever meet you in person, I'm going to kiss your whole face.
Oh,
I was just in Vegas with my cousins and her husband doesn't like hugs and I forgot and I kept hugging him. And I said, oh shoot. And he goes, and your husband's a hugger too.
oh,
I'm like, oh, anyway, it's funny.
I'm not a hugger, but I'm married to a hugger. And so I feel like I have to hug people because he's like, bring it in. And then I'm standing there like, stay away. But then I look like more like a bitch because of him.
No, it's all right. I feel like that's where we get, I'll just close with this, that when we've done our fourth step and we find our inventory and we see and we're confronted with the things we've done in our life and we're willing to change. And then in this step where we're going to start making amends for it, it makes it so that it's okay to be us. It's just okay to be us. And there's nothing more we need to do. We don't need to manipulate others by making them see that we are better than what we are, or nicer, or more giving or loving, because we give when our cup overflows. We don't give to fill our cup. So it's, like when you spend time with somebody who's in active addiction, be it, a substance or codependency, they will keep doing things to make you believe they're nicer than they are because they don't want to change their behavior. So once they change their behavior, you don't need to keep making it okay to be you. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah,
you just are.
it makes total sense.
This is I love this step. And I'm really grateful that we all came together and we can have these conversations, and just love you all. And So in the Yoga 12 step, it's called Y12SR. If you want to look it up, they have a whole directory of meetings that you can join. If I lived in the Bay Area or in Sacramento, there's a lot more meetings up there that you can join in person. But you can go to them on Zoom too. So it's y12sr.com. I'll put that in the chat.
And my husband and I were doing Kundalini yoga 5 days a week. And my husband just said yesterday, he's like, we need to get back to it because we were at our best. And, you know, it's been 3 months since we've done yoga. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. So we might start doing this next week, is that when you do a share, I'll add this to what we have to remember, I guess, is that we all ground and have compassion and love, and we breathe for that person. So at the end of every share, we breathe. So now we're closing our session. So let's all breathe together. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a
Thank you,
great
Kim. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you.
guys.